The alien distress call. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before Captain Zix as she gazed out of the viewport of the stellar seeker. Her iridescent scales shimmered softly in the dim light of the bridge, reflecting her growing anxiety. The ship, once a proud symbol of Cylonian exploration, now drifted helplessly in an uncharted sector of the galaxy. "Status report," Zix demanded, her 4 eyes blinking rapidly in succession. First Officer Vela slithered forward, her serpentine body coiling nervously. "Captain, the quantum drive is completely offline. We've lost all propulsion capabilities." Zix's crest flattened against her head, a clear sign of distress among her species. "Life support functioning at 60% capacity," Vela replied. "At current consumption rates, we have approximately 3 standard cycles before critical failure." The captain turned to her communications officer, a bioluminescent creature named Lumina. "Any luck with the distress beacon?" Lumina's tendrils dimmed slightly as she spoke. "Negative, Captain. Our signal is too weak to reach any known outposts. We're too far off the charted routes." A heavy silence fell over the bridge, broken only by the soft hum of failing systems. The crew of 15, representing 6 different species from across the Galactic Alliance, exchanged worried glances. They had volunteered for this mission of exploration, pushing the boundaries of known space. Now, it seemed they had pushed too far. Zix's mind raced. As captain, it was her duty to ensure the safety of her crew. She had led them into this situation. She had to find a way out. "Lumina, cycle through all known emergency frequencies, even the ancient ones. Vela, begin rationing our supplies. We need to stretch our resources as far as possible." As the crew sprang into action, Zix retreated to her quarters. Once alone, she allowed her composure to slip, her scales dulling to a muted gray. On her data pad, she pulled up an image of her family back on Cylon Prime, her mate Zor and their clutch of hatchlings, still too young to leave the nest. She had promised to return to them. She had to find a way. Hours passed, each moment bringing them closer to their doom. The mood on the bridge grew increasingly desperate as every attempt to boost their signal or extend their supplies met with failure. Just as Zix was about to give up hope, Lumina's excited voice cut through the gloom. "Captain, I found something." Zix rushed to the communications station, her scales flickering with a hint of hope. "What is it, Lumina?" "It's an old frequency, ancient relay. I almost missed it, but it's still active. Our signal might just be strong enough to reach it." The captain felt a surge of excitement. "Do it. Send out the distress call. At this point, we have nothing to lose." Lumina's tendrils danced over the console, composing and sending their desperate plea into the void. The message was simple: coordinates, the nature of their emergency, a plea for assistance in any form. As the signal pulsed out into space, Zix addressed her crew. "Now we wait and we hope. Someone somewhere might just hear us." Little did Zix know that their call for help was about to be answered in a way that would challenge everything the Galactic Alliance thought they knew about the universe and its inhabitants. Days passed, hope dwindling with each passing hour. The crew had begun to resign themselves to their fate when suddenly the sensors erupted with activity. "Captain," Vela called out, her voice tinged with disbelief. "I'm detecting a ship approaching at incredible speed." Zix's crest rose in excitement. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that left the entire crew speechless. Approaching them was a vessel unlike anything they had ever seen. It was massive, easily dwarfing their own ship, with sleek lines and glowing engines that seemed to defy the laws of physics as they understood them. "By the cosmic egg," Zix whispered, her scales shifting through a rainbow of colors in rapid succession. What manner of beings could have built such a ship? Before anyone could respond, the communications panel lit up with an incoming transmission. Lumina hesitated for a moment before accepting the call. A voice, clear and strong, filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel, This is Captain Elena Chen of the Earth ship Horizon. We received your distress call. How can we assist you? The crew of the Stellar Seeker exchanged looks of confusion and awe. Earth. They had never heard of such a world or its people. Yet here they were, answering a call on an ancient frequency, arriving in a ship that defied their understanding of technology. Zix stepped forward, drawing herself up to her full height. This is Captain Zix of the Stellar Seeker. We are in dire need of assistance. Our quantum drive has failed, and our life support systems are critical. There was a brief pause before Captain Chen's voice returned, filled with warmth and reassurance. Understood, Captain Zix. We're preparing to dock with your vessel. Our engineers will assist with repairs, and we have ample supplies to replenish your life support. Please stand by. As the Earth ship maneuvered into position, Zix turned to her crew, seeing her own mix of relief and trepidation reflected in their faces. They were about to make first contact with an unknown species, one that seemed to possess technology far beyond their own. Whatever happens next, Zix addressed her crew, her voice steady despite her racing hearts. Remember this moment. We stand on the threshold of a new era for the Galactic Alliance. Let us greet these Earthlings with open arms and open minds. As the docking procedure began, Zix couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change the course of galactic history. Little did she know just how right she was, or the crucial role these humans would play in the challenges that lay ahead for the entire galaxy. Humanity's unexpected response. The docking procedure was a marvel of precision and technology. Captain Zix watched in awe as the massive Earth ship, the Horizon, seamlessly connected with the Stellar Seeker. The difference in size between the two vessels was staggering. The Horizon could have easily housed a dozen ships like theirs. As the airlock cycled, Zix and her senior staff gathered to greet their rescuers. The captain's scales shimmered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. First contact situations were always delicate, and this one was unprecedented in the history of the Galactic Alliance. The airlock hissed open, and Captain Elena Chen stepped through, followed by a small delegation. Zix's four eyes widened in surprise. The humans were bipedal, with soft, hairless skin in various shades of brown and pink. They lacked any obvious natural defenses, no claws, no scales, no venomous glands, yet there was an unmistakable air of confidence about them. Captain Chen smiled warmly, her dark eyes twinkling with curiosity. Captain Zix, I presume? I'm Elena Chen. It's an honor to meet you. Zix bowed her head slightly, a universal gesture of respect. The honor is ours, Captain Chen. Your timely arrival has saved us from certain doom. We are eternally grateful. As the two captains exchanged formal greetings, the human engineers were already moving past them, carrying equipment and chattering excitedly about the alien technology they were about to encounter. If you don't mind, one of the engineers called out, a young woman with vibrant red hair, we'd like to take a look at your quantum drive. We might be able to get you up and running in no time. Vela bristled slightly at the human's casual demeanor. Our technology is highly advanced, she said, a hint of pride in her voice. I'm not sure if... Oh, don't worry, the red-headed engineer grinned, already halfway down the corridor. We love a good challenge. Captain Chen chuckled at her crew's enthusiasm. You'll have to forgive them. The chance to study new technology is like a holiday for our engineers. She turned back to Zix. Now, why don't you tell me more about your mission? We're quite curious about what brought you so far from charted space. As they made their way to the Stellar Seeker's conference room, Zix couldn't help but marvel at the humans' adaptability. They seemed completely unfazed by the diverse alien physiology of her crew, treating each species with the same friendly curiosity. Once seated, Zix began to explain their mission of exploration, the malfunctions that had stranded them, and the distress call they had sent out on an ancient frequency. Ah, yes, Captain Chen nodded. That particular frequency is part of an old Earth protocol. We've kept it active for centuries, just in case. I guess it finally paid off. Lumina oozed forward slightly. But how did you respond so quickly and from such a great distance? Chen's eyes sparkled with pride. The Horizon is equipped with an experimental faster-than-light drive. We can cover vast distances in a fraction of the time it takes conventional ships. The alien crew exchanged looks of astonishment. FTL technology was theoretical at best in the Galactic Alliance, yet here were these humans casually mentioning it as if it were commonplace. But enough about us, Chen continued. We're more interested in learning about you and the Galactic Alliance. We had no idea there was such a vast community of spacefaring species out here. For the next few hours, they exchanged information. Zix spoke of the dozens of species that made up the Alliance, their shared history, their laws and customs. In return, Chen told them about Earth and humanity's rapid ascent to the stars. We were confined to our solar system for centuries, she explained. But once we cracked FTL travel, there was no stopping us. We've been exploring ever since, always pushing further into the unknown. As they talked, reports started coming in from around the ship. The human engineers, working alongside the Stellar Seeker's crew, were making astounding progress. Systems that had been on the brink of failure were now humming with renewed energy. Vela burst into the conference room, her scales flushed with excitement. Captain, the humans, they've not only repaired our quantum drive, they've improved it. We're detecting a 30% increase in efficiency. Zix's crest rose in surprise. How is that possible? Captain Chen smiled. As I said, our engineers love a challenge. They probably couldn't resist tinkering a bit. The implications of this were staggering. In a matter of hours, these humans had not only understood but improved upon technology that had taken the Alliance centuries to develop. As the day wore on, more and more of the Stellar Seeker's crew found excuses to interact with the humans. They were fascinated by these strange beings who seemed to approach every problem with boundless enthusiasm and creativity. In the ship's mess hall, a human chef had taken over the kitchen, whipping up dishes that catered to the diverse biological needs of the alien crew. In the recreation area, humans and aliens alike were engaged in animated conversations, sharing stories and comparing cultures. Zix watched it all with a mixture of awe and trepidation. The ease with which the humans had integrated themselves was both impressive and slightly unsettling. They seemed to have a knack for putting others at ease, for finding common ground even with species that looked nothing like them. As the repair work neared completion, Captain Chen approached Zix. Well, Captain, it looks like your ship will be spaceworthy again in a few hours. We'd be happy to escort you back to Alliance space. Zix's scales rippled with gratitude. Your generosity knows no bounds, Captain Chen. But I must ask, what do you want in return for all this? Chen's smile widened. Knowledge, Captain. The opportunity to learn about new cultures, new technologies, new ways of thinking. That's always been humanity's driving force, curiosity. Zix considered this. It seemed almost too good to be true. But before she could respond, alarm klaxons blared throughout both ships. Vela's voice came over the comm system, tight with urgency. Captain, we're detecting multiple vessels approaching at high speed. They're not responding to hails, and their weapons are hot. Zix and Chen exchanged a look of shared concern. Their newfound alliance was about to face its first test, and the fate of both their crews hung in the balance. As they rushed to their respective bridges, Zix couldn't help but wonder, would the human ingenuity be enough to face this new threat? Or had their arrival inadvertently brought danger to this uncharted region of space? The answer, she realized, would soon reveal itself in what promised to be a crucible of fire and starlight. First contact and cultural clash. The bridge of the Stellar Seeker erupted into a flurry of activity as Zix burst through the doors. The main view screen flickered to life, displaying a terrifying sight. A swarm of sleek, predatory ships cutting through the void of space, their weapons primed and ready. Report. Zix barked, her scales flickering between hues of alarm and determination. Vela's fingers danced across her console. 7 vessels, Captain. Configuration unknown. They're not in any Alliance database. The comm system crackled to life, and Captain Chen's voice filled the bridge. Captain Zix, are you seeing this? Affirmative, Captain Chen. Any ideas? There was a pause before Chen replied, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and concern. We've never encountered this species before, but their ship design, it's reminiscent of old Earth legends. Pirates. Zix's crest flattened against her head. Pirates. Out here in uncharted space. Space is big, Captain, Chen responded. There are always corners where lawlessness can thrive. But don't worry, the Horizon was built for situations like this. As if on cue, the massive human ship began to move, positioning itself between the stellar seeker and the approaching threat. Zix watched in awe as panels along the Horizon's hull slid open, revealing an impressive array of weaponry. The lead pirate ship, a vicious-looking vessel bristling with gun ports, hailed them, the viewscreen filled with the image of a being unlike any Zix had ever seen. It was reptilian in nature, with a head full of writhing tentacles and eyes that glowed with an eerie bioluminescence. Well, the creature hissed, its voice translated through the ship's systems. What do we have here? A crippled ship and its knight in shining armor. How quaint. Zix stepped forward, drawing herself up to her full height. I am Captain Zix of the Galactic Alliance. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. We mean you no harm. The pirate captain's tentacles writhed in what might have been amusement. Alliance? Never heard of it. But I'm sure whatever you're carrying will fetch a nice price on the black market. Surrender now, and we might let you live. Before Zix could respond, Captain Chen's voice cut in, calm and authoritative. This is Captain Elena Chen of the Earth ship Horizon. The vessel you're threatening is under our protection. I strongly suggest you reconsider your actions. The pirate's glowing eyes narrowed. Earth, another unknown. You're a long way from home, little ones. Last chance. Surrender or be destroyed. Chen's reply was swift and decisive. I don't think you understand the situation you're in, but allow me to clarify. Suddenly, the Horizon's engines flared to life. The massive ship moved with a speed and agility that seemed impossible for its size. In a matter of seconds, it had positioned itself directly above the pirate fleet. Holy cosmic egg, Vela whispered, her eyes wide with astonishment. The pirate captain's confidence visibly faltered. What manner of trickery is this? Chen's voice was steel. This is humanity's response to threats against our friends. Stand down now, or face the consequences. For a tense moment, silence reigned. Then, with a snarl of frustration, the pirate captain gave the order to attack. What followed was a display of combat prowess that left the crew of the Stellar Seeker speechless. The Horizon moved like a dancer among the stars, its advanced shielding absorbing enemy fire, while its own weapons struck with surgical precision. One by one, the pirate ships were disabled, their engines and weapons rendered inoperable without a single life lost. In a matter of minutes, it was over. The pirate fleet hung motionless in space, thoroughly outmatched and outgunned. Captain Chen's face appeared on the viewscreen, a slight smile playing on her lips. Captain Zix, are you and your crew all right? Zix nodded, her scales shimmering with a mix of relief and awe. We are unharmed thanks to you. I don't know how to express our gratitude. Chen waved off her thanks. It's what friends do. Now, shall we deal with our uninvited guests? Over the next few hours, the humans demonstrated yet another aspect of their culture that fascinated the Alliance crew. Rather than destroying or abandoning the disabled pirate ships, they insisted on boarding them, providing medical aid to the injured and taking the rest into custody. We'll drop them off at the nearest lawful outpost, Chen explained. Everyone deserves a chance at rehabilitation. As the cleanup operation continued, Zix found herself in a quiet corner of her ship, deep in thought. The events of the past day had shaken her worldview to its core. These humans, unknown to the Alliance, possessed technology and capabilities that surpassed anything they had ever seen. Yet they wielded this power with a sense of responsibility and compassion that was truly admirable. Vela slithered up beside her, her scales reflecting her pensive mood. "Captain, what are we going to do?" "The Alliance needs to know about the humans." Zix nodded slowly. "Indeed they do, Vela. But I fear the news may not be welcomed by all. The humans' capabilities, they could upset the balance of power in the galaxy." "Do you think they pose a threat?" Vela asked, her voice low. Zix watched as a team of human engineers, laughing and joking, worked alongside her crew to salvage useful technology from the pirate ships. "No," she said finally. "I don't believe they do. But they will change everything. The question is, are we ready for that change?" As if in answer to her question, Captain Chen approached, a data pad in her hand and an excited gleam in her eye. "Captain Zix, I hope I'm not interrupting. I have a proposal I'd like to discuss with you. One that could change the future of both our peoples." Zix's crest rose in curiosity. "I'm listening, Captain Chen." As Chen began to outline her idea, Zix realized that this was just the beginning. The galaxy as they knew it was about to change, and humanity would be at the heart of that transformation. Whether that change would lead to a new era of peace and prosperity or to conflict and chaos remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: life in the Galactic Alliance would never be the same again. The galactic threat emerges. The journey back to Alliance space was filled with a palpable sense of anticipation. Captain Zix spent much of her time in deep discussion with Captain Chen, exchanging knowledge and laying the groundwork for what both hoped would be a lasting alliance between their peoples. As they approached the outer reaches of Alliance territory, Zix couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and trepidation. She was about to introduce a species that could revolutionize galactic society. The potential for advancement was enormous, but so too was the potential for upheaval. "We're receiving a hail from Starbase Omega," Vela announced, her voice tinged with excitement. "They're requesting an explanation for our prolonged absence and, oh," her scales paled slightly, "they're demanding to know the identity of our escort." Zix straightened her posture, her crest rising in determination. "Put them through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of Admiral Krelthor, his tentacles writhing with barely contained agitation. "Captain Zix, you've been out of contact for weeks. Explain yourself immediately. And what in the name of the cosmic egg is that behemoth accompanying you?" Taking a deep breath, Zix launched into an explanation of their harrowing ordeal and miraculous rescue. As she spoke, she could see the Admiral's expression shift from anger to disbelief to a wary curiosity. "Humans," Admiral Krelthor interrupted. "You're telling me there's an advanced spacefaring species that the Alliance has never encountered?" "That's correct, Admiral," Zix confirmed. "And they've expressed a strong desire for peaceful contact and cultural exchange." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "I see. Well, Captain, you and your guests are to report to Starbase Omega immediately for debriefing." Krelthor out. As the transmission cut off, Captain Chen's voice came through the comm. "Well, that seemed to go about as well as expected. Your Admiral didn't look too thrilled." Zix's scales rippled with amusement. "Admiral Krelthor isn't known for his warm welcomes. But don't worry, once the Alliance Council hears of your actions, I'm sure they'll be more receptive." How wrong she was. The next few days were a whirlwind of debriefings, diplomatic meetings, and barely concealed tension. While many in the Alliance were fascinated by the humans and eager to learn from them, others viewed them with suspicion and fear. The council chambers buzzed with heated debate. "These humans possess technology far beyond our own," one councillor argued. "How do we know they won't use it against us?" "They saved one of our ships," another countered. "Surely that proves their peaceful intentions." As the arguments raged on, Zix and Captain Chen found themselves increasingly sidelined, watching helplessly as fear and political maneuvering threatened to derail the budding alliance. It was during one such tense council session that everything changed. Alarms blared throughout the starbase, cutting off the debates mid-sentence. Admiral Krelthor burst into the chamber, his usual composure shattered. "We're under attack," he announced, his tentacles whipping about in agitation. "Multiple hostiles have entered the system. They've already destroyed our outer defenses." The council erupted into chaos. Amid the panic, Captain Chen stepped forward, her voice cutting through the din. "Admiral, with your permission, the Horizon stands ready to assist in the defense of this station." Krelthor hesitated for a moment, his pride warring with the desperate need for aid. Finally, he nodded. "Very well, Captain. Show us what your ship can do." As they rushed to their respective vessels, Zix fell into step beside Chen. "Any ideas who we're up against?" Chen's expression was grim. "I have a hunch, but I hope I'm wrong." As they reached the docking bay, a junior officer rushed up to them, his scales pale with fear. "Captains, long-range scans have identified the hostile forces. It's the swarm." Zix felt her heart sink. The swarm, a hive-mind species of insectoid aliens that consumed entire worlds, leaving nothing but barren husks in their wake. They were the stuff of nightmares, a threat the Alliance had fought and vanquished decades ago. "Impossible," Zix whispered. "We drove them back. They shouldn't have the numbers for an attack like this." Chen's eyes narrowed. Unless they'd been building their forces in secret all this time, waiting for the right moment to strike. As they boarded their ships and rushed to join the battle, the full scale of the threat became apparent. Hundreds of swarm vessels filled the space around Starbase Omega, their organic ships pulsing with an otherworldly light as they tore through the Alliance's defenses. "This is worse than I imagined," Zix muttered, watching as another Alliance cruiser erupted into flames. Chen's voice came through the comm, steady and determined. "We faced worse odds before, Captain. The Horizon is moving to engage. Suggest you focus on evacuating the station while we buy you some time." As the massive human ship surged forward, its advanced weapons blazing, Zix couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Perhaps with the humans at their side, they stood a chance against this overwhelming force. But even as the Horizon carved a path through the swarm ships, more kept coming. It was becoming clear that this was no mere raid. It was a full-scale invasion. In the midst of the chaos, a priority transmission cut through the battle chatter. It was Admiral Krelthor, his voice grave. "All ships, be advised. We're receiving reports of swarm attacks across Alliance space. Multiple worlds are under siege. This is war." The weight of those words settled over the bridge of the Stellar Seeker like a shroud. They weren't just fighting for a starbase or a single system. The fate of the entire Alliance, perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. As Zix coordinated evacuation efforts and Chen's Horizon continued its valiant defense, a chilling realization dawned. The swarm's return, the humans' timely arrival, it couldn't be mere coincidence. Somehow, these events were connected. But how? And more importantly, would they unravel the mystery in time to save the galaxy from the ravenous tide that threatened to engulf it? As another wave of swarm ships entered the system, Zix steeled herself for the fight of her life. Whatever the coming hours might bring, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity's ingenuity saves the day. The battle raged on, a chaotic dance of destruction against the backdrop of stars. The Horizon, under Captain Chen's skilled command, was a beacon of hope amidst the devastation, its advanced weaponry carving swaths through the swarm's forces. Yet for every swarm ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. On the bridge of the Stellar Seeker, Captain Zix coordinated the evacuation efforts, her scales a constant flux of colors reflecting the tension of the moment. "Status report," she barked. Velis' fingers flew over her console. "Starbase Omega is at 60% evacuation, Captain, but we're losing ships faster than we can get people out." At this rate, she didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew what was at stake. Suddenly, Chen's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain Zix, I think I've figured something out. Can you get Admiral Krelthor on the line? He needs to hear this." Moments later, the Admiral's harried face appeared on the view screen. "Make it quick, Captain Chen. We're fighting for our lives here." Chen's eyes gleamed with the fire of discovery. "Admiral, we've been analyzing the swarm's attack patterns. There's a logic to their movements, a central coordination. If we can disrupt that..." Krelthor's tentacles writhed skeptically. "We've tried that before, Captain. The swarm's hive mind is too decentralized. There's no single point of failure." "That's just it, sir," Chen pressed on. "We think there is. Our quantum sensors are picking up unusual tachyon emissions from one of the largest swarm ships. It's subtle, easy to miss if you're not looking for it, but it could be the key to their coordination." Zix leaned forward, her crest rising in excitement. "A command ship. But how do we exploit this information? Our weapons can barely dent their smaller vessels." Chen's smile was grim but determined. "Leave that to us. Admiral, I need you to gather every ship you can spare. When I give the signal, hit that command ship with everything you've got." As Chen outlined her plan, Zix felt a mix of hope and trepidation. It was audacious, perhaps even reckless, but given the dire circumstances, what choice did they have? Admiral Krelthor, to his credit, didn't hesitate. "Very well, Captain Chen. We'll follow your lead. May the cosmic egg protect us all." As the transmission ended, Zix turned to her crew. "You heard the plan. Let's make it happen." The next hour was a frenzy of activity. While the Horizon engaged the bulk of the swarm forces, drawing their attention, the Alliance fleet regrouped. The Stellar Seeker, along with other ships, continued the evacuation efforts, saving as many lives as possible. Finally, Chen's voice rang out across all channels. "All ships, this is it. Commence Operation Hive Buster on my mark." Zix watched in awe as the Horizon suddenly accelerated, pushing its advanced engines to their limit. It streaked towards the heart of the swarm fleet, weaving through a hail of organic projectiles and energy blasts. "Now," Chen commanded. The Horizon's hull began to glow, building up to an intensity that threatened to overload the Stellar Seeker's sensors. Then, with a flash that momentarily outshone the system's star, it released a massive electromagnetic pulse. The effect was immediate and devastating. Swarm ships closest to the blast simply disintegrated. Those further out spun wildly, their biomechanical systems thrown into chaos. "All ships, fire on the command vessel," Admiral Krelthor ordered. The Alliance fleet unleashed a barrage unlike anything Zix had ever seen. Plasma torpedoes, quantum disruptors, and exotic particle beams all converged on a single point, the swarm's command ship. For a moment, it seemed as if even this concentrated assault would fail. The command ship's defenses held, a shimmering barrier deflecting the worst of the attack. But then the Horizon, its hull still crackling with residual energy from the EMP, dove straight for the command ship. "Brace for impact." Chen's voice rang out, a mix of determination and what sounded almost like exhilaration. The human ship slammed into the swarm vessel's shields, its reinforced bow acting like a battering ram. There was a moment of resistance and then breakthrough. The Horizon plunged into the heart of the command ship, its weapons firing continuously. A series of explosions rippled across the massive swarm vessel. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then, like a string of dominoes falling, the remaining swarm ships began to falter. Some simply powered down, drifting lifelessly in space. Others turned on each other in a frenzy of confusion. "By the cosmic egg," Vela whispered. "They did it." Cheers erupted across the Alliance fleet. The swarm, the terror that had threatened to engulf the galaxy, had been broken. As the dust settled and rescue operations began, Zix couldn't help but marvel at the turn of events. The humans, unknown to them mere days ago, had turned the tide of a war that might have spelled the end of the Alliance. Hours later, in the battered but intact conference room of Starbase Omega, Captain Chen stood before the assembled Alliance leadership. Despite the scratches on her uniform and the obvious exhaustion in her eyes, she radiated an aura of quiet strength. "The threat is not over," she cautioned. "The swarm will regroup, adapt. But we've bought ourselves time, and more importantly, we've shown what we can achieve when we work together." Admiral Krelthor, his earlier skepticism replaced by grudging respect, stepped forward. "Indeed we have, Captain. On behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I extend our deepest gratitude and an invitation. Join us. With your technology, your bravery, we can forge a safer galaxy for all." Chen smiled, glancing at Six, who stood nearby. "We accept, Admiral, but not as subordinates or saviors. As equals, as friends, we have much to learn from each other." As discussions of treaties and alliances filled the room, Zix felt a profound sense of change in the air. The galaxy had been brought to the brink of destruction, but from that crucible, a new era was emerging. An era of cooperation between the Alliance and humanity. An era of shared knowledge and mutual growth. An era where the combined strengths of countless species would stand united against any threat. As she watched Chen and Krelthor shake hands, or tentacles, sealing the newfound alliance, Zix knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. And somehow, that made the vast, often terrifying expanse of the galaxy seem just a little bit smaller, a little bit warmer. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning.